moving forward, like we said, the East has gotten better. There's no sugarcoating that. Teams are coming back. Rosters are going to be tweaked. Players are going to be healthy, and it's going to be a dogfight for the next decade, honestly. But to be a team that obviously you guys had injuries throughout the season in the playoffs, you were literally seconds away from potentially roles being reversed. As a Heat fan, where do you go next? Like, what's to come? What would you do?
I definitely think I'm gonna start off with something easy. I think we need to get somebody in here to ease the pressure off of Bam from having to be in the game at the center position all the time. I think we need a guy that can stretch the floor like a PJ Tucker can do, but I think we need somebody that can have that height difference that PJ Tucker just doesn't have. Dwayne Dedmon's he played well for his minutes, but clearly in the playoffs his minutes went down. We can't have somebody on our team that can't play in the playoffs. That's just how it's gonna go. From the power forward perspective, I do like what Caleb Martin did this season. I think under our system, under our training staff and all that, he can really develop his game. I would love to have him back as well. Markieff Morris, I doubt him himself. I don't think he would want to come back because of the minutes he didn't get to play in the playoffs. PJ Tucker's a dog. I would hope he stays. Victor Oladipo is going to be, I believe we have his bird rights or he's restricted or something like that. So I think we can give him an offer. Hopefully he stays. But if we're talking long term and what we really need to do, I know you're talking like trades. If we have to move a Tyler Hero and a Duncan Robinson to get a guy, I'm down with that as long as the person can play some defense and it makes sense for our starting lineup. So what I mean by that is, can we get a guy that can, if we're gonna move Tyler and Duncan, are we getting us if we're getting a starter, do we bench Kyle Lowry? Are we benching Max Strus at the two position? Can they fill the role that Max Strus provided with the 3 point pressure? Are we getting a guy to play the power forward position? Are we moving Bam to the power forward position and getting a really good big and like a DeAndre Ayton? That probably wouldn't happen, but we're just talking right now. If we gonna move Kyle Lowry, that's Jimmy Butler's best friend. I doubt that happens. But if it does happen, who are we gonna get at that point guard position? You mentioned like a Donovan Mitchell. I would love to have a Donovan Mitchell on my squad, but if he's not gonna play defense one, and if he's not gonna be healthy, I don't really know if we're willing to do that. Plus, on the Utah side, who do they want to move? If you're a Utah Jazz fan, you probably want to move Rudy versus moving Donovan Mitchell. But how do you move Rudy's $200 million contract that he so very much deserved? How do you move that contract? You know what I'm saying? Are you gonna ship him off to like the Suns and then go get DeAndre Ayton? Does that make Donovan Mitchell happy? And then you just keep the roster you have, and then the Heat just don't get Donovan Mitchell? Another guy would be like a Bradley Beal. Do we want Bradley Beal at 6'3" when we know he doesn't play defense? How much money is he gonna command? Can we get him in a trade? I believe he's a restricted free agent. No, he has a player option of like 30 some mil. So like, can we go ahead and move Kyle? Do we move Tyler? Do we sign Tyler to a deal, move him and Duncan, and then have him at the two position? If we do that, who's gonna pick up the slack for the 3 point? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's so many options. Zach Levine is out there. Put him at the two. I would love that. He plays defense. And like you said before the pod, does he want to be a second option yet again? I mean, there's a lot of options for the Heat, but looking at what we did this series with Jimmy Butler and how the culture has been, making waves on all social medias and stuff like that, I do think we are going to be a prime destination for free agents this offseason.
Mm. Yeah, for sure. And like what we said before we started even recording this as well too. If you have any takeaways, one, Jimmy Butler's a fucking superstar, top
Facts.
10 player.
Yep.
Like you said earlier, there's 82 games regular season players, then there's 16-game playoff players as well too. You know what I'm saying?
James Harden versus Jimmy Butler.
James Harden versus Jimmy Butler, DeMar Rosen versus Jimmy Butler. So you can argue a lot of things as well too.
Facts.
Um, but he's built for the playoffs. And if anything has been brought to light, I think it's he just needs another dog with him, another consistent bucket getter with him, and he can take you to the promised land as well too. I mean, obviously we can point to injuries, but injuries are a part of the game. You take the good with the bad. So, like you said, with those three viable options, Bradley Beal, Donovan Mitchell, Zach LaVine, all playmakers, all efficient scorers. They all can shoot the Tracy as well too. They play three. They play on three levels, from the 3 point line to the mid range to the post. I think those are good options as well too. And being under Eric Spoelstra and the Heat culture, how strict they are, they're gonna turn into defenders because Spo don't play that shit.
Facts.
If you ain't at least giving effort, I'm gonna bench your ass. So I think now what we've kind of noticed is the Miami Heat should be a marquee free agent destination to go to as well. If you think that you can be that winning piece, whether you're a high role level player, whether you are another star and you want to sacrifice a little bit as well too, then come join Miami Heat as well too, because Jimmy's gonna be here for at least 5 more years. We're gonna get some prime Jimmy, and it's gonna be crazy as well too. I think, like I said before, even before we start recording this, I think Donovan Mitchell would be the option. I mean, when you think of Miami Heat, you think of Wade County. As far as from an offensive standpoint, the shiftiness, the size, the strength, all that, he's the closest offensively to D Wade, but a shooter as well too. He can be a little bit streaky, but if we look at every series he's had since his rookie year, and he should have also won Rookie of the Year, that's going to be up for another debate.
Big facts.
You can't miss a whole season
Facts.
and travel with the team, see all this shit, come back next year, and you're not a rookie. Like, I know you didn't
Talking
play in the
about
NBA
Ben
basketball game.
Simmons this season or his rookie season?
Ben Simmons rookie season.
Did the
Can't be a
same.
rookie, but we'll save that for another day, right? Um, but Donovan Mitchell, since he's been in the playoffs, look at his numbers. He literally will give you 27 to 30 points a night. Like, his will shouldn't be questioned. Obviously, the question you had was his injuries, knick-knack injuries, which are part of the game. But honestly, that's just because he has so much of a load to kind of carry on. So you're more susceptible to injury. I mean, look at Jimmy. But if you pair those two together with Bam, I think that's a championship right there as well too. And Bam can actually be himself, being that facilitator, exploiting his mismatches in the post, hitting down those mid range, being that defensive presence. I think that would be my ideal big three. But you can't go wrong with Beal. You can't go wrong with LaVine. You can't go wrong with Donovan Mitchell. But I've seen a sample size of Donovan Mitchell. I've only seen a 5-game sample size with Zach LaVine. Beal, has made the playoffs 2 or 3 times. He performs too, but we don't see it enough. So I think the best option would definitely be Donovan Mitchell.
And I definitely agree. Another thing to watch out for is if we do go ahead and move, like if we get, how Pat Riley does his magic, somehow we get the guys we want, right?
Yeah.
If we can do a 3-team deal with like a Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, we don't really have picks. Maybe Victor Oladipo is in that trade too. We sign him to something,
Like,
and we get a Donovan Mitchell.
you gotta keep Depot. You gotta keep Depot.
I know, but like,
You might
would
be.
Kyle Lowry want to just come off the bench, please?
Well, I think you just do undersized backcourt with a Donovan Mitchell and a Kyle Lowry, or you move Donovan Mitchell to being that point guard, but combo guard. And like I said, you guys have kind of been a Swiss Army knife where you win in numerous ways. There's been injuries in and out of there's been injuries, and there's been a lot of lineup changes where you haven't had Kyle Lowry as your primary point guard for 82 games, and y'all do it by committee as well too, especially with Bam being there and Jimmy being there. I think it could work.
Now, I do think my dark horse pick that we will get is now that I'm starting to think about the Zach LaVine thing, he can knock down those threes. He can play make, and he does defend.
Six
If we
six.
get him, what is that? Oh, 6'6". I would fuck with having him on the squad. I don't want to pay for it though. That's 20 mil. Give him Duncan Robinson. I guess.
Well, Tyler Heroes is rookie. He's getting a rookie extension this year, right?
I mean, that's up for discussion.
Oh, so does he have 1 more year and then they can discuss it? I thought it was
Yeah.
now. Okay,
Nah.
okay. So he
Yeah.
still would be cheap on the roster because I was like, give him an extension and try to use that for salary as far as matching. But if that's not the case, then you'd have to include a Kyle Lowry and a Duncan Robinson in that to match the salary to get him back. But I guess we'll see.